A scary situation off the coast of East Africa this morning. Somali pirates have struck again, capturing a yacht with 4 Americans on board. They're frantically trying to get their hostages to Somalia, but are being shadowed by a U.S. warship. CBS News correspondent Mark Phillips now has the very latest.
In their hometown church in Santa Monica, hymns were sung and prayers said for Jean and Scott Adam, now being held hostage by Somali pirates.
Jean is a very, very kind woman, very generous, very faith-filled.
The couple had been sailing around the world since 2004, distributing Bibles. Also being held 2 crew members, Phyllis McKay and Bob Riggle. The hijack yacht, the Quest, is now reported to be heading for the pirate coast of Somalia.
Typically they're after a larger ship because they're wanting the vessel to ransom back to the company that owns the vessel.
The U.S. Navy is reportedly shadowing the yacht and may be trying to negotiate with the pirates, hoping they give up or drop their guard, allowing a rescue by other means. The Adams website details how they've been sailing with a larger group, hoping for the safety of numbers. But inexplicably and at great risk, they split off on their own into an area where Bibles and prayers were of little help.
I think ideally for the United States, they'll intercept this ship. There'll be something of a military standoff, hostage negotiation at sea, but there are not a lot of very good options.
The incident comes in the same week an American court sentenced the Somali pirate to 33 years in prison for another hijack attempt. Pirates are currently holding 30 ships and more than 660 hostages. The Quest and its crew are the latest victims. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
Joining us now is maritime security analyst Tim Hart. Tim, good morning.
Good morning.
We just heard in that report there are not a lot of very good options at this point. Is military intervention the best option?
It's one of the options. The issue is, I think, in situations like this, is that there is a strong past precedent in terms of ransom payment and hostages being released. A military intervention is obviously a very high-risk strategy. It's a very small boat. It's a very confined area at the moment. And if the vessel reaches the Somali shore, it's likely that they'll be taken off that and possibly split up. So it really just changed the dynamic somewhat.
How vital is it, though, that the Navy does intercede before, like you said, they do get to the coast? And then how does the situation change if the Somalis do get them to the coast?
Well, like we say, if we move them on shore, due to what they've done previously, it's very likely that they will split some of the hostages up. So because they will fear, an intervention and a rescue attempt. If we look at what happened to the Chandlers, of course, the British couple, that was a very similar situation. And in terms of previous rescue attempts, you've had the French yacht, the Tanit, which the French stormed in the past. Again, a very high-risk strategy, which actually led to the death of the captain, unfortunately. So it is a very high-risk strategy. There have been military interventions in the past. It's weighing up the options, and there's going to be a certain amount of assessment of that risk by the naval forces and the judgment made on whether they can safely do that.
Is that why the Navy, when we say the Navy is shadowing the ship, how close, proximically, how are we talking here when we say that the Navy's shadowing this yacht?
It will depend. I mean, they will want to obviously make sure they still have the vessel in their sights, and they'll want to make sure that they're putting a certain amount of pressure. But remember, the ball is very much in the Somalis' court at this time, and they will want to, the Somalis will be almost dictating. They will have availability of communications probably to speak to the warship, and they will very likely have put up something of a perimeter to prevent the Navy coming any closer and threaten reprisals possibly.
In Mark Phillips' report, we talked about this Somali man from the Maersk, Alabama, who was sentenced to 33 years here in New York on Friday. Could retribution be at play here?
I think it's extremely unlikely. Judging by where the vessel was, it was a very high-risk area. We knew that there were groups operating in that area. A number of hijackings in the previous few weeks, almost about 3 or 4. So and seeing a yacht is it's a very opportunistic kind of move. So for some very, very quick and easy hostages. So I think it's very unusual because of the time. They have previously gone to political retribution, but it's not. I don't think in this case it was.
And it is big business out there. 30 ships currently being held hostage with over 600 hostages.
Well, I think it's important to say that's at least 30 ships. I mean, there's a lot of smaller vessels, such as dhows or fishing vessels, which don't often get counted on these statistics. So the tally could be even higher, and with hostages as well.
All right, Tim Hart, thank you very much for coming in this morning.